Hello there. I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the vintage single edge razors that I own and that are out there. This is by no means comprehensive, uh, but I have a few and I want to kind of go over some of them with you. And if you look at a lot of the modern single edges that are out there now, some of them look incredibly fantastic. They look like fantastic razors. And I'm not knocking them, but if you're a shaver on a budget, if you've been de-shaving or straight shaving or whatever for a while, and you've kind of seen these razors and wanted to know more about them, maybe I can help a little bit today. Or if you're someone on a budget that's looking for a vintage razor to shave with, whether it's because you want a vintage razor, or because you're looking for a deal because you don't have much money but you'd like to start traditional wet shaving, uh, and don't overlook any of these razors. Just because it's not a DE doesn't mean you shouldn't look at it. These old single edges are some of the finest shavers that I've ever used. So I want to start with an old standard. This is a 1912. This is a Gem Junior, or this is a treat version, I believe, of a Gem Junior. Let me see. I may have given my Junior away. I thought I still had it. Okay. I must have given my Gem Junior away. This is the treat version of it, but it is basically the same thing. Now, these have different handles than a DE. If you look, the stud is usually in the handle and not in there's a hole there. And some of these DEs have a smaller hole and some do not. But there's a feature. First of all, this 1912 style, something that looks like that. It's got the little, well, I didn't tighten it up, but got the little button, little handle there that you can. This is probably one of the mildest of the vintage single edge razors that you'll find. It is a standard that a lot of the vintage SEs kind of mark the quality of a razor by, and you can see the juniors. They'll come in this, or you'll see the juniors come, and just the standard 1912s come. Just give me a second. They'll come with a handle on it, something, and this is on another type of razor, so I'm going to take it off and just put it on this because they do interchange a lot of times. A lot of times you'll see it on a handle similar to that. In my opinion, this is the better of the two, although this is lightweight and it's nice and fat. So if you have arthritis issues or other problems with your hands like I do, a lot of times that fatter handle is more comfortable for your hand than the small one that I just showed you. But that's a fantastic. Now, these razors all take this. They take that kind of blade. Now, what I would caution you about is don't go down to your hardware store trying to put this blade back in the container because it's new. Don't go down to your hardware store and buy 100 pack of single edge blades. They're not the same thing, and you will get an incredibly horrible shave out of them, probably cut yourself up, all that kind of stuff. Don't go down to the drugstore and buy them out of the hardware section, but you can go to a lot of the local drugstores that you have in the United States and find these in the shaving section, and they'll be like $5 to $7 for a pack of them. Sometimes they're kind of high. and a lot of times they're not as good a quality as the gems that I'm using or some of the others. What I would recommend you do is go to the places like Maggots and Bull Goose and different online vendors and buy them there. You'll be assured to get the proper kind of blade. That'll give you a good shave every time. Another razor that is really sweet, they all are by the way, is this one. This is a Micromatic. Now the handle don't come off of this. This is a Micromatic, or if it does, I would question whether it was any good because this is a twist to open. It's a Micromatic open comb. They have this in the closed comb version as well. It's a gem. It's a beautiful, heavy, fantastic shaver. Lovely. We also have one of my personal favorites, a 1924 shovel head. It opens like that. Just a beautiful razor. This is the one I took the handle off of and put on the 1912. Some people swear that these are really super aggressive. In my hands, on my face, this is a really smooth shaver and one of my very favorites of these SEs. This would probably be my favorite of all of them that I've shown you so far. There's only one razor I think that comes anywhere close to it, and it is a different type altogether. It's a single edge, but it's a different type. But then we have the push button. Got a little button right here. It's, if you see, it doesn't want to, these are older, so this one tries to stick sometimes, but do that, it opens up. So these are old razors. As long as it opens and operates properly. But that's a really nice razor. It's a really mild single edge for a single edge and does a really good job. They make one similar to this that has a metal, I believe it's aluminum, but I'm not sure. But it has a metal handle called a Gem G-Bar. That's also a really mild razor. The heads are almost identical in my opinion. It's a fantastic razor, and it looks really sharp and almost looks modern. If you run across that, pick it up. But all of these, there's one other thing I want to show you. All of these are the old 50s and below, 1950s or under, old single edge razors your grandpa might have used. But there's one other thing that I want to show you. On some of these razors, as long as the threads in here and the sides of the hole opening and stuff are correct, you can go down to the hardware store. Now these are 10/32 by 1/4 inch screw socket head screws, and let me get it out. It's playing games with me. And what you can do with some of these razors, and I'm just going to use the shovel head as an example, but it works for all of them. You can take this right here, and what it is it has a little Allen head. You don't need that. You can take this, take one of these You can screw that in there. Like that. Now this is you can take a modern, most modern or vintage DE handles. This happens to be a Maggard MR11 handle, I believe. But you can do that right there. And that's really cool because you can add a modern type handle with really nice knurling, really nice weight. Whatever style you like, a custom style if I wanted to. I could put something like this MR5 handle for Maggard. I have a bunch of the Maggard handles because the Maggard, I have the Maggard DE, and Maggard makes fantastic stuff, and in my opinion comparable to handles going for a lot more. But I mean, you can do a lot of stuff. You can put a lot of different handles on these razors. Putting this back on my, I believe this is my Beulah R41. Yeah. Actually. But anyway, just lovely. Now there's one more single edge razor that I really think is almost superior to all of these. It's some of them were made around the same time as some of these others, but that is a Schick Injector. This is an E2 model, I believe, or an E3. Actually, I think this is an E3. Different models, but it looks like this. And you'll notice it takes a longer, stiffer blade, similar to some of the new SCs that are out now. It's a similar kind of blade. These are wonderfully ergonomic. They are made so you lay the flat of that on your face and the angle is really intuitive to find, and they just shave like a scalded ape. There's many different types of these. They have different handle colors, different handle lengths. Some of them are gold, some of them are brass, some of them are chrome. They're just, if you find one of these, you should be able to pick a Schick Injector up for like $8. And if they want much more than $8 or $10 for one, tell them to keep it. Because there are a boatload of these around. And you can find them cheap, but they are absolutely fantastic shavers. They, like I say, they take a blade. They have a key. This is a key. And you load them, it'll say right here, I don't know if you'll see it, but it says insert blade key. And what you do is you pull this back, insert the key. I'm sorry. Let me get here where you can see. What you do is you pull this back, then you insert that key there, and push this forward, and it pushes an old blade out and puts a new blade in. And they are, in my opinion, some of the very best of the single edge razors that you'll run across. Closer to the modern type, but just wonderful. And you can't go wrong with any of these. And there are a ton more different styles of single edge razors out there, old vintage type. And I've not run across, I had more, but I gave some away. pipped a few. But the thing of it is doesn't matter. If it's one of these old vintage single edge razors and it's in good shape and everything looks like it works on it, one of the things you want to watch with a lot of them, they have, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but they have little tabs here and here. You see that little tab? Okay, that tab is where the front edge on the corners of the razor blade that goes in here rests. If that tab is broken, do not buy the razor, because it won't stay seated and it might even be dangerous to try to shave with. So they're out there with the tabs broke. This one, let me see, also has the little tabs. But this one, I can't remember whether this one does or not. You see, this one, it's got tabs up here that the razor slides in this way. And then again, it has little tabs as well along in the front. These things you got to watch because they're old. And once again, the little tabs. They're old. And you're going to run across examples of them that are damaged. Same thing with the Schicks. If there were some, very few of these that were made where you could slide this to the side and this part of the razor would open up and you could clean it. Things like that. But only a few, and there's a ton of people that have thought, well, they all work like that, and have forced this, damaged the spring quality of this metal, and when you pick it up, it'll rattle like crazy if it's not got a blade in it. I have a G1, which looks a lot like this. That was like that. And I got it cheap and fooled around with it until I was able to bend this part back to where it locked up against the inside here and it stopped rattling, and the razor works fine now. But that's stuff to be aware of when you buy these. But I mean, even if you buy a bad one, you're not going to be out more than 8 or 10, 12 bucks, something like that. That's high end of what I would pay for any of these. $8, $10 max for me. And you can get some fantastic razors. So if you're interested in the single edge razors, the vintage stuff, you understand that they're cheap. They can be had really cheap. So you know, if you're interested in them, you just well try them, because it's not going to cost you a whole lot. And I can almost guarantee you're going to find one that you love. All right, thanks for joining me. Bless you, and I'll talk to you later.